All right, let's move into Ohio State, Texas. Arch Manning versus Julian Sayin, the battle of first-time starters. Do you have a lean here?
Yeah, first off, rest in peace, Lee Corso. Thank you for the acknowledgement there. Or not actually, but on game day at least. Come on, like he didn't on game day, his last game day. Let's okay, but the lean here is Ohio State. I feel like they're playing at home. They're coming off a national championship. Obviously, Texas is the number one team in the nation. They bring back a lot of starters on what was a great defense last year. Obviously, Arch Manning spinning the ball on the offensive side of the ball for them, and just in general, they have it's Texas. They always have good recruits. They always have like essentially like we were talking about with Notre Dame, like plug and play players on every side of the football. But I think that Ohio State is just going to be too much. Like you have the incoming freshman Carnell Tate, as well as Jeremiah Smith, who is possibly a Heisman candidate, looking like a way far forward into the future. And obviously, Julian Sayin is almost as unproven as Arch Manning, or actually less proven than Arch Manning, because Arch Manning has at least started a couple games. But I think that Julian Sayin will be good. He's a 5-star coming out of high school. He was committed to Alabama, obviously transferred to Ohio State, and is now he forced I'm forgetting the guy's name, but he forced a transfer out of there. He won the starting job, and he did it pretty decisively. Everyone likes him, and I think that they're just going to be too much for Texas in week one, especially with the bright lights of playing in front of 90,000 plus fans.
So yeah, Ohio State, we just talked about it with Miami and Notre Dame. Ohio State definitely gets that home field advantage here, and that is something I think that should be recognized as far as two kind of first-time day one starters for this season. Obviously, we've seen more of Arch Manning, but I think that this is a really, really difficult place to play. The defending champs, got Caleb Downs on the other side of the field as well that you're trying to pass against if you're Arch Manning. I think I lean Ohio State, but I'm going to say that Arch Manning plays better than Julian Sayin. I think that this is an extremely tough task. Texas has a ton of NFL defensive guys on that roster. And for that to be the very first college football game, I would love to see a stat here of true freshmen that have been able to go against like that kind of environment where you're going against an NFL caliber team, or at least the number one team in the country. I'd imagine it's probably pretty the win-loss record isn't really there. But I'm going to go against the grain potentially and say that the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to win this game. But I think it'll be close regardless. And I think Arch Manning will play just a tad better. It just won't be enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to push back too much because it's Arch Manning, but I think just with the pass catchers that that Ohio State has in their on the offensive side of the ball for them, it's hard to even say that. Like Julian Sayin, I feel like especially with the home, like he's not going to be facing any ruckus crowd, or like at least it won't be against him. Like I feel like just given the fact that he'll be able to settle in, even with Texas being like one of the top defenses last year, I think that the pass catchers on the other side of the ball are just too good for him to not have a good game, or at least a decent game, I feel like.
Well, yeah, I think mainly with the prediction, I was more so like relying on they would be the ones making the plays. So he obviously has to get the ball to them, but it'd be more yards after catch, yards after contact, stuff like that from Jeremiah Smith and the other guys in the receiving room. And also, maybe a little bit of the run game could potentially be there. But that's what I was mainly thinking about. And then I was just thinking that Arch Manning wasn't going to turn the ball over. Just a lot to handle going on the road. Tough for me to pick them. I think it's probably a coin flip, but I think I'm leaning towards the home team in this sort of sense. I don't think that Ohio State is any better than Texas in that sense. I think with them being at home, first game of the season, I feel like that's got to be the lean, right?
Yeah, I feel like, or I don't feel like there is like proven stats around this that just in general, home teams in college football fare significantly better than away teams, obviously, just because of the fact that the environments of college football are so drastically different than any other sport. Like you have like environments where you genuinely can't hear from play to play. And the shoe is one of those places, Ohio State, that like that's going to be the environment that you're facing. And obviously, Arch Manning has been in similar games, like he played in the SEC championship and against Georgia. But like just like it's a totally different environment coming off of a team that has just won a national championship. She was super loud, and maybe not a totally different environment, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like it is tough to play away games, and I think that it just makes it so much harder for the away team to win. I think that either way, either place, if it was played at home for whatever team, I think that this team comes out, especially if it's a 1-3 matchup, 1-2 matchup, like the home field advantage it could be key in a lot of those matchups. And I think that that's what it comes down to in this scenario.
Okay, I'm going to throw you a curveball. It's going to be really difficult to say or to give an answer, but I'm just going to say this. We both have them, uh, Ohio State and Texas making the playoffs, right? And that would potentially bring a rematch. If we both pick Ohio State here, who do you think would win in the rematch if they did end up playing again in the college football playoff?
Yeah, at a neutral side, I'd probably lean Texas, right? Like,
Yeah.
number 1 team in the nation, a bunch of returning starters on defense. I think that there's a reason why they're ranked the number 1 team in the nation. It's not just Arch Manning. He has a great team around him. And I think that, like I was saying just a couple of seconds before, like, the lean here is probably because of the home field advantage. I think that if Texas plays at home, I'd probably say a similar thing about on the Ohio State side of the ball. But with Julian Sain getting a whole year under his belt at that point, it makes it a little bit harder, but so will Arch Manning. So I think that the neutral field, Texas just has a little bit of a better team. I'd lean Texas.
I would probably lean Texas too. When we made the college football playoff bracket, I had Texas ahead of Ohio State.
Yeah.
So the reason I did that was because I kind of leaned initially when we were making the bracket to Texas winning this game, but I kind of backed off of that. So I'm kind of going against my own predictions here, but I would definitely have to at least stick to some sort of credibility and say, yes, I think Texas would win in a neutral site playoff game in a rematch like this. But Ohio State's a very good football team.